Well, welcome everyone to another delicious, nutritious adventure event. This event is in collaboration with Plant-Based Nutrition Movement. My name is Carrie Bruno. I'm a pharmacist, a PBNM board member, and the host for tonight's event. Plant-Based Nutrition Movement's a nonprofit organization, and our mission is to educate, inspire, and support those moving towards an evidence-based, whole, minimally processed plant-based way of eating as a way to improve health and quality of life at any age. Everyone interested in health and wellness is welcome to attend these events, whether you've never heard about this way of eating before or curious about trying it or have already been following this way of eating for many years. We're all here to learn more and to help each other along the way. So welcome. These events are held monthly on the third Tuesday of the month, and this program is recorded and available for future viewing or sharing on the PBNM YouTube channel. And if you'd like more information about this group in particular, PBNM, and future events, or would like to become a member and receive our monthly newsletters, you can go to pbnm.org and sign up there. And tonight we have a great lineup in store. Our first speaker today will be Janet Pearson. She is a PBNM board member, and she's going to be sharing or starting us off and sharing 10 to 15 minutes for our seasonal segment. And she's going to be focusing on refreshing summer drinks and mocktail recipes. And then we're going to hear from our guest speaker for tonight, Vivian Amos Brown. And Vivian will share her health journey story with us. And after Vivian shares her story, we'll leave the remainder of the time for questions. Everyone except the speakers will be muted throughout the presentation just to avoid interruptions and background noise. So please feel free to use the chat box for any questions that you have throughout the presentation. And if time allows, we'll sprinkle those in throughout the presentation. And so without further ado, we'll get the event started. So welcome both Janet and Vivian. And Janet, would you like to start us off?
I'd be happy to. Thanks, Carrie. I'm so excited to share with you. Since this is called an adventure, a delicious, nutritious adventure, I'd like to start with my first refreshing summer drink that has roots in Mexico. So if you've been to a Mexican restaurant, they usually have a drink that's an oat or rice-based, kind of a milky, coconutty, cinnamony drink. Well, I'm going to tell you how you can make it at home. And the recipe comes and the technique comes from a good friend of mine who is from Mexico. Her husband, they travel there often. And I was at her house a few summers ago, and she had this delicious, refreshing drink. So, and I know everyone probably has everything in your house of what you need. It starts with oats, rolled oats. As plant-based eaters, we all have these in the pantry, right? So
Yes.
you could turn 1/2 a cup of rolled oats into 1 gallon of refreshing drink. Is that like a money budget saving drink? I mean, I just love it because look at all the rest of the world spending all that money on plant milks, and plant milks are great, but pops and flavored drinks that are not healthy. So that's the first ingredient, 1/2 cup of rolled oats. The second ingredient is cinnamon. Last fall, I talked about cinnamon, and it comes in sticks like this. And you can get it pretty much at any store. And sometimes it's in the bulk bin, sometimes it's in packages. Around the fall, usually you could get it in bigger bins, but it's pretty much at any grocery store, but you could find it in the sticks at ethnic or Mexican stores and those aisles. So you take one of these sticks and look at all that comes in this little package. And the package is maybe $2 or $3 at the grocery store. So you soak that in a bowl of water with 2 cups of water, your filtered water from your refrigerator or the water that you use. Soak it for 2 hours. Once it's soaked and everything's softened, you put in your blender. Now, I have a Vitamix, as many of us do, but she doesn't even have a Vitamix, my friend Martha, who may be joining us on this call. She uses a regular blender, an old-fashioned blender. It's not even a high-powered one. And she just puts that water and soaked cinnamon stick and soaked oats into her blender, and she blends it for about 30 seconds. Now, I've heard on some other places that I've watched YouTube that if you over blend when you're making oat milk, it could get slimy. So maybe it's only 30 seconds is the key to blend it. Once it's blended, it's going to be kind of thick because it's 2 cups of water to a half a cup of oats. Then you're going to pour it in a very fine strainer. So these strainers come in different consistencies. Could you see that? Consistencies or different fineness. This is a very fine one. It's smaller, as you could see. This is my hand, so the size of it. Now, everyone also probably has this bigger one, bigger type of strainer. So if you have this bigger one, you may get some of the grittiness of the oats come through the glass. But you could also put, if you have a, what is it called? The fabric, what is it called? Fabric, that
Oh,
you put
the
cheesecloth.
cheesecloth? Yeah.
Um, Cheesecloth or a milk bag if you
Yeah.
want it really thin. So you just blend that, and then once that mixture is all blended, you get a gallon container of water and ice in it. And you mix that 2 cups of blended milk, basically oat milk with cinnamon. You blend that into your water. So now it's a thinner type of liquid. And then you could flavor it with a touch of sweetener if you like, date syrup or date sugar, if you have it, coconut sugar to add a little caramelized or whatever your favorite sweetener is to taste. And if you want, you can just put a dab of lemon in it. I'm not lemon,
Vanilla.
vanilla. So that's my number one drink from Mexico. My current drink that I'm loving is watermelon water drink. And I love blending just watermelon. If you have watermelon, you know how sometimes you open a watermelon and maybe you put it in a container and kind of gets waterlogged? Instead of thinking, oh, I don't really want to eat it, what do I do with it? Throw it in your blender with a little bit of more water. And I like mixing mint, fresh mint, if you have that in your yard or garden. The mint and watermelon combination it's just yummy and delicious. I love it. It's so refreshing. And I just blend it in my blend. I have a Vitamix, so I'll blend it in my Vitamix. And I have watermelon flavored water with real watermelon. Now you can do that pretty much with any fruit. A lot of restaurants that have fruited flavored drinks, that's what they use. Another base is really easy to do is herbal teas. Here's an herbal tea that is ginger and turmeric. Here's one that is hibiscus, and you could also get hibiscus in packets like this, or you could get it, pretty much any store has hibiscus tea. And also if you want it more on the lighter side, this is chamomile. So there's all kind of teas. I usually look for organic. So you make your tea, you can make your iced tea for our hot tea first. Either boil your water and make your tea. And I use double or triple the amount of the tea bags that I would normally make for a cup of tea. And then, so I have a really potent kind of in my cup, in my hot cup, whether I'm using the microwave or an electric water boiler or a pot on the stove, however you get your hot water. And then, or you can even make sun tea out of it by putting it out in the sun all day in a large container of water. Once you have your base, you can add any cut up fruit that you'd like, limes, lemons, oranges, um, cucumber. You could add any herb you'd like. Mint is usually popular for that. Do you have any, Carrie or Vivian, do you have any other suggestions of what you would add to what type of herbs or spices that you would add to a tea kind of drink?
Hmm.
No, I don't.
You
I
don't
think
do that.
the sliced up citrus is a good idea. That would be one of my first go-tos. I
Yeah,
can't really think of any other
What about
herbs per
cinnamon?
se.
Cinnamon.
cinnamon. Yeah, depending
Yeah.
on what the herb flavor is. I like lime and mint is a great combination. Actually, one of my favorite sparkling. And my last tip, I have one more tip. I like buying sparkling water. I don't know if you could see it. This says lime. It's lime flavored. And comes in a plastic bottle. And most stores have different types of sparkling water. But you can use just plain sparkling water and add 1 or 2 tablespoons of a balsamic vinegar. This is one, as you could see, it says strawberry on it, and strawberry white, it says. And you could order these online, or I actually found this at a little town in Michigan, Benton Harbor or Holland, Michigan, a little shop in those when you're on vacation traveling. I always love to go into usually they are on the marquee, they say olive oil stores. But most olive oil stores, even though most of us don't use olive oil, they have vinegars, and they're usually delicious vinegars. I have stopped in Sarasota, Florida at a unique place and picked up some garlic and onion and cilantro and different ones. And sometimes they used to have taste testings of them, but I'm not sure if they're doing that currently. But be sure to check out different boutiques that may be selling vinegars. And Chef AJ says that she puts into sparkling water about 1 to 2 tablespoons of a flavored balsamic vinegar. And it gives it a really nice, it's not a sour taste because it's a sweeter flavored vinegar. And I know California balsamic is one in California. If you follow Chef AJ. She highly recommends that. And that idea comes actually from Chef AJ. And then my fourth idea, my last idea is make your own milk and save some money with a milk maker. This is my favorite milk maker. I don't know if the name is reversed, but it's called Archmira. And it's usually on sale. The whole machine is on sale for about $55, $60. It makes about 2.5 cups. And you basically buy these chopped up pieces of a nut. I like raw cashew nuts. I get that at Trader Joe's. And basically 1/4 cup of the nuts makes about 2 to 3 cups. And you can make this machine you plug it in, press a button, and let it go. And in 5 minutes, you have milk, and you just put it through the strainer. And you can make hot or cold coffees or teas, or add any type of flavoring, chocolate, date paste. You can make a date shake out of it by adding more dates in a blender. It's just a lot of refreshing. And to make it a mocktail, just you serve it in a fancy glass, a martini glass, or one of those hurricane glasses that have pina coladas. Another combination favorite is my coconut and coconut extract. If you don't want to use the coconut milk, since it's high fat, you can use the coconut extract, a few drops of that because it's very potent, and pineapple and to your cashew milk, and then you have a pina colada flavor. So those are my brainstorming ideas that I want to share, refreshing drinks. And you could also garnish your serving glass with a slice of lemon, or top it with some fresh mint, or a slice of cucumber, just for a fancy presentation when you're entertaining guests or for yourself, so you can feel special. So back to you, Carrie, and
Yes.
hope everyone enjoyed that.
Yes. Well, one thing, Karen did ask a question. Was there a name for the first drink that you shared?
I think it's horchata.
Okay.
Horchata. It starts with an H, Horchetta. I'll
Okay.
put the recipe we could put the recipe in the notes.
Yeah, we will do. And then she also said that she planted mint in a pot on her deck, makes great tea with the fresh mint leaves, which sounds inviting. And then also cold dandy blend is also a great coffee-like drink. I recently saw that, so interested to maybe give that a try. So thanks for the tip.
Yeah, I have the dandy blend out, but I never tried it cold. Thank you for that tip.
Yeah,
Wow,
yeah.
I'm glad you're sharing tonight.
And I have a couple of my own. One drink that I have made multiple times and that I like is one that you referred to, Janet, is hibiscus tea. So I actually found hibiscus leaves here at Woodman's, actually, is one of the stores that's local to me. I'm not sure where they have them and where else you could find the leaves. But in case you couldn't really see from the bag, the leaves are like really dark purple. Let's see.
There we
And
go.
they're dried. So they it depends on how much you want to make. I made it recently for a big party for like 130 people, and I took maybe about a cup and a half of the leaves, and had a huge pot of water. So you can basically do, I think, maybe like a handful of leaves if you're just going to do a few cups of water. And obviously, taste it as you go to see how potent and maybe bitter it would be. But basically all you do is you take the leaves and you boil them with the water for maybe like 15-20 minutes. I think the recipe I was using says that it gets kind of bitter after that. So just kind of be aware of that and taste it as you go, just to see where you are flavor wise. And you can pretty much use it just like that. However, it can be kind of bitter. So what I like to do, or what I have done, instead of using a sweetener, I put fruit and fruit juice at the bottom. So this time I used like mandarin oranges and pineapple chunks, or you could use just crushed pineapple as well. But I pour them in like the little mandarin orange cups, or jars that you might find in the store, and you can pour the fruit and the juice in, and that way you don't have to use any extra sugar. And I think it was perfectly sweet. It might be a little, I'm used to drinking a lot of water and not necessarily tea. So for me, I could taste a little bit of the bitterness, but when the fruit was in there, it was perfectly fine. And a little added surprise, if you use pineapple, not so much the mandarin oranges, it will turn them purple. So you get purple fruit at the bottom, which is fun. Just, at the party, kind of like was a surprise for everyone who wasn't aware that there was pineapple in it and was kind of wondering what's the purple at the bottom. But yeah, it was a nice little added touch. And then the second recipe that I have to share, I will have to say I've never made this before, but a friend of a friend recently told me about it, and I am interested in trying it out because it sounds really good. It is a cherry limeade. So you take about a quarter cup of freshly squeezed lime juice, a cup of tart cherry juice. This one calls for granulated sugar, which I would probably omit. And the person who made this and told me about it said she didn't add any sugar and she didn't really think that it needed any. So if I were you, I would omit that. And you could potentially add a different, like maybe maple syrup or another sugar alternative if you really think it needed something at the end. And then 12 ounces of frozen cherries. And the last ingredient would be lime flavored sparkling water, which Janet already has shown for us. And so you can just buy that already pre-made and mix all of those in. The recipe that I called for, since it had the granulated sugar, had you cook heat up the lime juice, the tart cherry juice, and the sugar so it dissolves. But if you're not using the sugar, you could probably just mix all the ingredients together and it would be ready to go. And the suggestions for serving, they said either serve over ice cubes. You could also include some lime wedges or slices, and then sprigs of mint if you so choose. So I think all of those ingredients are fairly accessible and cost effective, not very expensive. And it sounds like it would be colorful and refreshing for a summer drink. So I think I'm going to give that a try the next time I find myself at the store, because I don't have a lot of those ingredients in my kitchen already.
And there's a comment that someone added that lime is great mixed with the hibiscus flavor tea.
That's
I think-
interesting. I have not tried that, so I might have to give that a try instead of either the mandarin oranges or the pineapple.
Oh, I just thought of another one. It's
Yeah.
cranberries. If you have frozen cranberries
I
still
do.
from the fall that you didn't use and you don't know what to use. This comes from Chef AJ, and I love it because I always like cranberry flavor drinks. Cranberry lime with apple cider. And the apple cider has the sweetness, but the tart with it, and the mixture of you just blend it in your high-powered blender and add some lime juice to flavor, and it's delicious.
Interesting.
So-
I have a lot of those in my freezer right now. I bought a bunch of cranberries when they were on sale and just stuck them in my freezer. So I've been wondering what to do with them, and that might be a good start.
There you go. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for the recipe ideas and suggestions. And we'll be sure to put all of those ideas in the show notes when we post this on YouTube. So if you'd like to go check them out, you can do so. And moving on, we have our guest speaker for tonight, Vivian Amos Brown. I'm going to let her give a little bit of her own introduction because I'm sure she can do a so much better job than I can do, but I would like to give you a little bit of a sneak peek. So Vivian has had a very strong interest in healthy eating and nutrition since the mid 1970s, and she has a pretty unique health story and journey to share that I know you're going to find inspiring. At least I know I did. And so Vivian, welcome tonight. I'm so glad to have you, and I've heard your story multiple times, and I am so happy to have you here to share it with everyone tonight.
Thank you, Carrie. All right. Where shall I begin? I'll begin. As you know, I've been interested in nutrition for many, many years. My brother, who recently passed the end of last year, he is the one who sparked my interest. And so my health journey kind of began in 2017, Mother's Day weekend of 2017. I had been to Whole Foods, and I live in a condominium, and I was walking down the hallway almost at my door when I started to feel bad. And so I had 2 bags of groceries, and they were filled with chicken and turkey, because those were my favorite meats, because in those days, I thought chicken and turkey was healthy. And I had about 6 months or 8 months before that, I had gone to a doctor who put me on a keto diet. And I started eating a lot of beef and bacon and stuff like that, that I just did not eat most of my life. And set my 2 bags by the door and sat in the chair by the door, and I felt my chest and my heart was racing. I knew it was AFib. And that was the second time that I had had an attack of AFib. About 1.5 years or 2 years before that, I was in the hospital with AFib. So I knew that I had to go to check this out. So I put my groceries up, took my time, drove myself. I decided to go to urgent care because I figured, well, it would probably cost less than the emergency room. And what happened is I went to urgent care and I wanted to be waited on right away. So I asked them, where do you go when you think you might be having a heart attack? And so they whisked me in the back, and less than 5 minutes, I was on my way to ER in an ambulance. And that was Mother's Day of 2017. I spent the whole weekend in the hospital from Saturday to Monday night. When I was released, I was informed that I had a serious heart condition, AFib, and I was advised to go on beta blockers, blood thinners, aspirin, something else. Also, they believed I had hepatitis of the liver. My enzymes were 742 and 562, and I had to go and see the hematologist right away. And I was also pre-diabetic. So my granddaughter came and picked me up from the hospital, and I was supposed to go to Walgreens to pick up my drugs. And I went there and told them to restock it because I wouldn't be taking them. Now, mind you, I didn't know what I was going to do. I absolutely did not know what I was going to do, but I knew I wasn't going to do that. So I started a conversation in my head that I said to myself, you know, I've been interested in nutrition for many, many years, and I'm going to find someone to help me because I'm not going the other way. I'm just not going to do it. And so it took me about a few days because I'm not very good with techie stuff. And it took a few days, and up popped this place in Wheaton, Illinois. Then it was called the Total Health Institute. And I was thinking that I had to go out of town to see a doctor because I didn't know of anyone in the area who was a nutrition type doctor who I felt would be able to help me. So I was happy to find out that he was in Wheaton. And for 3 months and 3 days a week for 3 months, I drove 100 miles round trip to go to this doctor, to see this doctor 3 times a week. Well, what I had my daughter-in-law drive me there that Saturday morning, and they said they can take me, but he's a chiropractor and insurances don't pay for his services. And so he's kind of expensive. At that time, the cheapest program he had was $23,000. I did not have $23,000. Matter of fact, I didn't have $3,000 and never had up to that point in my life, $3,000. But you know what? I knew I was going to get the money. Within a week's time, I had $23,000. I just knew it. So how I did it was I borrowed half, and I called my son in California. He gave me the other half. And that's how I did it. So many of my family and friends thought I was crazy and he was a quack. That what doctor do? If you can't use your insurance, you shouldn't be going to that doctor. But I was determined. And I had been going to, well, I didn't know about the plant-based lifestyle at that time, but while we were waiting for our treatments in his waiting room, he would play Forks Over Knives and Eating Third Edition. And so I started to sit there and watch it, and I became interested, and I came home and went on Amazon and I ordered the DVDs and I played them. And my husband, 3 months after I became ill, he became ill. He had Alzheimer's and end-stage heart disease. So I decided he couldn't complain, so I put him on a plant-based diet. He was too sick to complain. I decided to put him on a plant-based diet. I was going to add vegetables and let him have the meat I knew that he liked. But I read, I might have been Esselstyn's book or someone's book that said, no matter what your age is, if you have a heart condition, a plant-based diet will help it. So that's what gave me the bright idea to put him on a plant-based diet, which I did. And so he went on and died the next March. At that time, he was 86 years old. And I was 76 when I became ill in 2017. Well, yeah, 76. Yeah, 76, because he died at 87. And so what happened was after a year, I didn't have heart disease anymore, nor did I have hepatitis, nor did I have pre-diabetes. And I did not take a drug. What happened is I was into the Total Health Institute program. And at that time, I had knee braces. My knees were swollen up. I had bone on bone and torn meniscus. And they told me I needed to have a knee replaced, knee surgery and all of that. I had a lot of brain fog. And every night I would go home and sit down because I'm very active. I was active then and I'm very active now. And my right shoulder and my right knee would just throb when I would sit down and relax. I was on that program for 5 days and I was sitting down and after a while, it dawned on me, my shoulder, my knee is not hurting. Hasn't hurt since. And I never had the surgery. Matter of fact, I canceled my therapy and went and joined a chair yoga class for seniors. So, and my head cleared up. A lot of little things got better. So after a year, I had learned about Dr. Kim Williams. So I made a rush appointment to go to Rush. And he told me I was fine. While I was there at Rush, I decided to see the hematologist, and she told me, you know, my liver enzymes were 11 and 22. Remember, they were 742 and 562. My liver, and this was the Total Health Institute's protocol, which was basically a raw diet, a lot of avocados and quinoa and juicing and seed milk also. So that's what I did basically for a whole year. Although I did start to cook, when I was cooking plant-based, I started eating plant-based and I didn't know what I was doing. More or less with the preparation of the food. But, and after that, I decided that I wanted to join the plant-based community because I was more interested in plant-based than what they were doing at the Total Health Institute. I decided that they had helped me and I appreciated it. It was time for me to leave and move on. And so another thing, I lost, most of my life, I have been overweight, 200, around 200, mostly a little bit over it. In 2004, I was 224. And while I was there at the Health Institute, the Total Health Institute that year, 65 pounds just dropped off of me. And I was there for health. For once in my life, I was not doing a diet to lose weight. I was doing it for health. And the next thing I know, actually, I had lost about 14 of those pounds on that keto program. But the rest came off when I joined the Total Health Institute. And so my husband died in 2018. And I stayed with the Total Health Institute until that December. And then I left there and I started to gain weight again. And I decided that I really wanted to learn how to do the plant-based diet and how to cook and how the program worked. So I went and joined Dr. McDougall's in 2019, his in-person retreat. And I think that was next to the last one that he had too in person because COVID came in right after that. I learned so much there. I learned so much there. It was invaluable. And I've gone on a retreat or someplace every year since then, but I learned more there than any place else. It was a great, great, great program. So fast forward a little bit, I think it was at the beginning of 2020, COVID. Yes, beginning of 20, going back, I had gained a few pounds and not much, but my daughter-in-law had gotten heavy. And I had learned about Chef AJ. One of my friends told me about Chef AJ. I didn't know of her. And so I ordered her book, that 21-day diet program she has. And and what happened was, excuse me. Yes, I'm good. Thank you. my tech help just came. All right, so we went on, my daughter-in-law and I, in the first 3 weeks of January, went on Chef AJ's, the last 3 weeks of January, we went on Chef AJ's 21-day program. And at that time, 6 months before that, I had gone to the eye doctor and she told me that my cataracts were progressing and getting worse and I needed surgery. Well, I didn't want to have the surgery, so she said, come back for a pre-check. After going on AJ's 21-day program, when I went back for my pre-check that February, right after that, you know what she said? Your eyes are getting better. You don't need surgery. Believe it or not. At my age, 70, what was I, about 77, 78, my cataracts are reversing. And to this day, I have not had cataract surgery. And last year, my last checkup, I was told with my glasses, I see 20/20. I still have cataracts, but they're not bothering me. And they don't think that I'm at the state where I need the surgery. So this plant-based diet and the power of food it's just unbelievable, miraculous, really. And so what happened was I decided to help a friend out that I was going to go for my coaching certification in the plant-based lifestyle. So I went to, instead of T. Colin Campbell's program, I went and took Dr. McDougall's program. And so I started coaching. Actually, I didn't go for that certification in order to coach. I went for it for personal reasons and to help Mary Ellen out. And so, but I got into coaching by kind of like accident. It kind of got dropped in my lap. During that time, a few of my friends knew what I had done and how I had changed my health around. And so one friend was a member of a Red Hatters group. So she asked me to speak to that group in 2020, which I did because when everybody was dying with COVID, people were a little more interested, a lot of people, in changing their diet. So what I did, I helped my friend's sister. I said, and I don't know why I said this, I said, if you promise to do it for 21 days, if you promise to follow my instructions, I'll coach you through the plant-based diet, because she was in excruciating pain, waiting to have knee surgery, couldn't walk, couldn't go out the house, couldn't sleep, had a lot of other problems. So she said she would do it. She said she don't know why she said yes, but she said she felt she had nothing to lose. As a result, her knee pain stopped after about a week. She started sleeping after about a week. And a few other things happened. She canceled her knee surgery. So word kind of got out there. And ever since then, I have had people calling me, can you ask me for help? And my clients it's unbelievable to me, some of the things they call me. At first it was, and say that their neuropathy has disappeared, their liver disease is reversing. Of course, their blood pressure, cholesterol, and those type of things they were taken off of them. The average weight loss in I have a 21-day jumpstart program that I kind of put together with Dr. McDougall and AJ and Dr. Goldman. I kind of put it together. And during those 21 days, the average weight loss is 16 pounds. They're reversing their psoriasis, just unbelievable things. And everybody call me and say, my doctor asked me, what was I doing? Whatever it is, I should keep it up. So last year, 2023, in January, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I didn't expect that. That was kind of a shock, but that's what happened. So I decided that I was not going to do chemo, radiation, cancer drugs, or any of those things. Matter of fact, I called Dr. McDougall first, and one of the things he says, don't let them poison your body with chemotherapy, burn it up with radiation, and if it's on the left side, chances are you're going to die of a heart disease before you will breast cancer. He did say some people might need drugs, and don't let them touch your lymph nodes. I did all of that. But after I talked to made my appointment with Dr. McDougall, and I spoke with Dr. Lim, and at that time, I was weighing 138 because at the beginning of the year, I was maybe around 143 or something like that. Because I lost almost 30 pounds last year, not trying to, it just came off. And I'm not where I want to be. I never thought I would be this small at this age. But I'm a member of Dr. Baxter Montgomery's community. So one day I decided to join and he was there. So I sent him a private message asking him, telling him that I had been diagnosed with breast cancer and that I wanted to heal it with nutrition. And I asked him if he could help me. So he sent me another message back. He said, yes, I can, but you have to come to Houston for 4 to 6 weeks. So my first thought was, I can't go to Houston for that long. That's too long. What about my real estate clients? What about this? What about that? And plus, it's money. It's a lot of money to go there for that length of time. So what happened was, after I got off the phone with him, I started thinking about it. I said, you know what? I only have one life to live, and I want to live. I want to go out not in pain and not suffering with cancer. I said, I'm doing it. So I called back and said, I will go. And I went there and I stayed 31 days. And his protocol was raw food diet, intermittent fasting. While I was there and after I came home for 3 months, I was put on intermittent fasting, a 5-hour eating window. From 11 to 4 o'clock was my eating period, and the rest of the time I was fasting. I also had high dose ozone therapy, far infrared sauna, and Myers vitamin C therapy, and some supplements. So he told me when I go home, I need to have a lump removed because, believe it or not, I was thinking about not having a lump removed. I was going to just let it just heal itself. My body heal itself and the lump would disappear. But my breast cancer was almost 3.8. It was so close to being 3. I think it was 3 points. And so that was pretty large lump. So I met, and I think a lot of you know, or most of you know, Dr. What's his name? He was there at the dinner.
Oh, Dr. Garb?
Yeah, Dr. Garb. He was my primary doctor at that time. So he's the one who the first one to diagnose breast cancer, as a matter of fact. So at the time he was at Advocate, I didn't know he was moving to Advent, which was a good thing because he referred the oncologist to me and the surgeon to me. The oncologist over there at Advent has a degree in nutrition, and the surgeon is a vegetarian. I went and I had to really straighten the oncologist out that I was not going to do radiation and I was not going to go and see the radiologist because that would be a waste of both our times. And I said, don't call me anymore about any of this because chemo, radiation, and cancer drugs are totally off the table. And so I did finally decide to go and see because I felt that lump growing. I went to see the surgeon and I told her what I wanted. And she said that I sounded like I knew what I was about. So she would do just what I want, remove the lump and nothing else. No lymph nodes, no anything else. And I was blessed because I have a couple of friends who were introduced to me and they went to their doctors to have just a lump removed. And most hospitals and most doctors will not remove a lump unless they do radiation and or chemo first. That's their protocol, and they're not changing it. Don't matter what you want. That's how they do it. So I felt that I was really, really blessed. So after the surgery, and I went back for my 2-month checkup, I had another lump. I already knew I had that other lump. So at first she said she thought it was scar tissue. And the last time I was there, which was about 4 months ago, she asked me if I would consider drugs. And that was the second time. I said, oh no, I'm just going to continue with what I've been doing with the alternative services and the eating and that. And she said, well, I have a referral for you. I still feel blessed again. I was actually taking found out about this place, and I was taking my brother there. And so it's called Nourish. This doctor is a naturopathic oncologist. And that's all he do is work with cancer. And most of the patients who come to this clinic, they have late stage cancers, men and both women. You know, the doctors, when the doctors send you home to die, you're more willing and open to try some alternative stuff at that point. Most people are. But before that, a lot of people are not willing to try it. And so he has some connection with this laboratory that has invented a machine that can detect those smaller cancers that traditional medicine don't have a machine to detect. And so far, I've been 0.0. Every 2 months, they come out and draw blood, come to my home and draw blood. And that's what has been happening. And once the lump was out, according to my surgeon, pretty much the cancer was gone, most of it, I guess. And I was already plant-based. I tightened up my diet a little more, because you can be plant-based, but you don't have to be 100%. It depends to the degree. And so I did, and over a year now, and I haven't gained any weight. So I think that's pretty darn good. But that's my story right now. And I want you to know I made 83 in May. I have never felt better in my life. Most of the time, I just wake up, I hop off the bed every morning, and I have a sense of well-being about my health. It just overcomes me from time to time, this sense of well-being. And I feel darn good. And I've been going out to on the trail, jogging 1 mile and walking 2 miles, 4 days a week. So that's pretty darn good. I couldn't do that before I lost the weight until this time.
That is amazing. And I mean, just hearing your story, it's so detailed, and thank you for sharing it. Very inspiring, the power that nutrition and lifestyle can have. I know a lot of people may not even realize how many benefits it can cause health-wise and otherwise, but one of the questions I have is, I know when you started this journey back in 2017, I'm sure it probably was overwhelming, because you didn't know many people who were eating this way, living this way. It was kind of an urgent matter, since you were diagnosed with a couple different conditions and your family members may not have felt the same way. So how did you start out? And I know you said, you were researching on your own and you found some of those programs, but was it challenging in the beginning, or did you kind of, as you started learning information, was it easier than you thought?
For me, it was not challenging, because remember, I have been interested in nutrition, and I read every book from the older people like Adele Davies and a lot of others way back when. And I was interested in doing something like this, but I didn't know about it. I just had no problems. For me, it just was not a problem. I was a member of a raw food support group, and I did things like that. So no, the transition was easy. The hardest part was that 100 miles for 3 months.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and like you said, finding people that were like-minded and that were doing the same thing you're doing, community, is very powerful and can help anyone along the way, especially when you're starting out. But so one other thing I'd like to ask you, you'd mentioned your age, and you live alone. A lot of people, I would think, that are maybe in your situation might think, I can't do this. Like, and at that point, people who may have been eating this way, eating the standard American diet their whole life and feeling like they can't make a difference, they can't change. How do you stick with it? I mean, I know the health changes are overwhelming and that is incentive enough to keep going, but how do you make it work on a day-to-day basis? Um, and how do you find that it works for you?
Actually, by this time it has become my new normal. And
Mhm.
since I am a plant-based coach and I'm taking Ocean and John Roberts certification class, and I will receive another coaching certificate. But for me, it has become normal, and I'm glad that I'm coaching because I feel that I should set as an example because I'm coaching, and I should eat this way as close to 100% as I possibly can. So I do pretty good unless I eat out. But I have learned how to cook, and I have learned how to. It's just easy.
Mhm.
It's just no problem. Now I can't say it was at first because when I first started, it was because my husband was ill. So I was doing the Total Health Institute protocol for myself, and I had him on another plant-based protocol. And he came home in hospice, and it was overwhelming at times because of taking care of him and cooking these 3 meals for him and trying to do my thing too. And plus, I had to pay someone every time I went out the house because he had Alzheimer's, and every time I went for my treatments. But at that time period, it was not easy
Mhm.
at all. And then once I went to Dr. McDougall's, it became very, very easy. And I learned a lot too about the raw food community with Dr. Montgomery.
Yeah.
And I try and incorporate more raw into my diet than what I did previously.
Okay, so I know I'm happy to hear that you love to cook and you have that. I know helps a lot of people when they're starting out, because if you're not used to cooking, it can be a little challenging, I imagine. But
Right.
you have gone through multiple different protocols and programs. Some you mentioned were more raw, intermittent fasting you've done. What do you find works for you now? Are you mostly raw? Do you eat mostly raw, or do you eat a mixture of cooked? I mean, what do you find works best for you?
Well, I still try an intermittent fast
Mhm.
for at least 14 hours a day. And I try and add more raw into my diet I generally will have a green juice at least 5 or 6 days, a Dr. Goldner's green juice. A lot of you may be familiar with her green juice recipe. I have that because that's the one I prescribe to my clients. I put them on her green juice for 21 days. And even when they stop eating this way, they never stop the green juice. They feel like their health is better when they have the green juice. But I have added more raw, and raw is not that hard because if you have a green smoothie and you eat some fruit and a salad, that's a lot of raw in a day. But most people think it's a big deal, but it's not that big of a deal. And wraps and things like that. And so that's what I do now. And so far as the cooking now, before I became plant-based and got ill, for 30 years, I ate out. I did not cook. And that's the biggest problem I have with most of my clients. They do not cook. People don't cook anymore. And after they retire, they think they shouldn't be cooking anymore. And I have to convince them that they have to, well, tell them that in order to do my program, you have to be willing to cook at least for 21 days,
Mhm.
and they get such a big boost in their health. And the first thing that happens within the first 7 days is their energy level returns. Most of my clients are older people, and I always have a list of people waiting to get into my program.
Mm.
And most of them are older people, and they have a lot of health issues. And and a lot of them disappear in that 21 days, though, for those who stick with it for 21 days. So, but for me, it was not easy because I had never been a cook all my life. I didn't become a cook until 2017 when my husband became ill. That's when I started cooking, because when I was going to the Total Health Institute for myself, it was a lot of seed milk, a lot of green juices, and a lot of salads with lemon juice on it, and a lot of avocados. So that didn't require a lot of cooking. But I started cooking with the plant-based, and I found all of these YouTube plant-based chefs and cooks, and I just went away with it.
Yeah.
So I have some questions for you. So
Mhm.
you said your eating window. We all have heard about intermittent fasting and juice fasting and things like that, detox fasting. So currently you're mostly raw, and when you eat your raw diet, you start eating your first meal, breaking your fast about 11 o'clock, so late morning. And then you probably have a lunch about 2:33 or 4, or maybe a snack at 4. And you just drink water, or do you drink other things the rest of the evening? And when you get up in the morning, is it just water, or do you have your smoothie in addition to those, that feeding window?
When I first get up, I try and drink 2 glasses at least 2 glasses of water. And I'm a water drinker, and I love sparkling water. That's why I couldn't contribute to your summer drinks, because I don't drink any drinks other than water, sparkling water, or kombucha. Those are the only drinks I drink. On tea in the winter when it's cool, and I'm chilly. Or feel like I'm coming down with something. But what was the other question?
So you start with 2 glasses of water in the morning, just water. And do you recommend a special do you filter water, tap water, filtered water
I
out of your
have
refrigerator?
a Berkey. I have the Berkey
You have the Berkey.
filter.
Okay. Yeah,
Yes,
we're
I'm
familiar
sure
with
you're
that.
familiar.
Yeah.
And
So
FYI, I am not mostly raw. I eat more cooked food than I do raw food.
oh, you do. Okay. So
But
then, so 11.
right,
So what's your normal first meal at 11? Give us some examples of what you normally eat in a week or a day.
okay. Depending on if I have to leave and have an early appointment, I will eat a little earlier, because I know that if I don't eat earlier, I'm going to be tempted to eat something out in the street that I shouldn't eat. So I know I don't need to leave home on an empty stomach if I'm going to be gone for any length of time. But most of the time, I'll get up and have that water. Then I will meditate. Then I will have my green juice. And then I will have, I might have some beans, but I have oatmeal sometimes, fruit sometimes, and I don't like cooked oatmeal. I like my oatmeal with fruit and soy milk, and my plant milk is soy milk. That's my milk of choice, especially because I just love soy and soy products and tofu. And it's a healthy food, especially for a cancer patient. And I try and have a salad. Sometimes I'll have a salad right after the smoothie, depending if I feel hungry. I try and have a salad at least 5 or 6 days a week, and that smoothie at least 5 or 6 days a week. And then today, I love going to the farmer's market this time of year. And so I've gotten those good green beans, and a friend gave me 3 large zucchinis out from her garden in the back. So I made zucchini soup, a real simple McDougal recipe. And I cooked the string beans, and I had portobello mushrooms. I had to use up my green onions before they spoil, so I threw that in there. I made some crispy tofu and some potato salad. That's what I had today.
That seems like a lot of food. So do you want to share the zucchini recipe? How do you make that zucchini soup? Is it in a blender or is it cooked? What do you do?
It's cooked. It was I used a whole onion because the recipe called for 2 pounds of zucchini, but I knew I had more than 2 pounds. So I used a whole onion and I sauteed it with some veggie juice, and then I cut up the zucchini, chopped up the zucchini and put it over in there. And some basil. What else did I put in there? It's only about 5 ingredients in that recipe. It was real simple. But what I did, I let the zucchini cook, and then I used my hand blender, turn it into soup. And it is simply delicious.
And you blend it with veggie broth. Did you put garlic in it?
Yes, it was garlic, basil, zucchini, onions, veggie broth. Might have been something else, I can't think. But that's what was in it. And it was real simple to make.
Well, we like simple. We like simple because people in the summer, they don't want to put, I mean, it doesn't make sense to heat up your home and when you have your air conditioning on and it's hot and humid as the weather's been here all over the country. Well,
Yes.
thanks for sharing. That sounds like I have zucchini right now that I in my refrigerator from our gardens, and it would be easy to make that soup and even freeze it. To use up your zucchini, you could freeze it for a later date.
It's a Dr. McDougall's recipe, but I'll send it to you. And I had made it before. It was really simply delicious. And I don't cook with salt. I use herbs and spices. And I use Spike in the red bottle at the table. It has salt in it, but not very much.
Okay,
It
great.
has herbs.
What do you think? Since you have many elderly clients, and you yourself, when you're eating this way, I know you see family and friends, and they probably say, "Oh, you're getting too thin." I'm speaking for my mom, who's plant-based, and she's just turned 91, but she tells everybody that she's 81 because she reversed her aging about 10 years with her plant-based diet. And we work out at the health club together. But she's getting too thin, and she's eating plant-based, and she just wants to put on some weight. And people that see her say she's looking frail, but she's energetic and she exercises. And she's like, well, I guess I'm exercising too much. Either I have to add something to gain weight, or I have to stop exercising so much. I said, well, none of those sound like a good plan. We gotta think about it. How are you gonna gain weight safely and healthy? So do you have any advice on getting too thin?
Well, I weigh 100, around 116 most days, and I'm 5'3". I might be slightly under that. And what I had to do when I started with that keto diet, I was over 200. So I dropped this is the third time I've had to buy a whole new wardrobe. I had to give away all of my size 6s. And so I knew one thing, if you buy clothes to fit you, you don't look so gaunt, or,
Right,
people
yeah.
won't say, oh, you're too small, you're getting too small. So I went and bought I spent a lot of money on clothes in the last few years because of that. So I had no problem. I would rather buy that new wardrobe and spend that money and be healthy than to keep that fat on me and not be healthy. And
That is a good point.
I have learned, right. I have learned that to keep cancer at bay, you want to have as few fat cells as possible. You want to get rid of those fat cells. And I've been carrying them around for a long time, and I ate a lot of chicken and turkey. So that's probably why I had the cancer, because it takes decades sometimes, at least one decade, for cancer to show up. And so far as it go, I tell people, I don't care who don't like it. I like it. And if you don't like it, it's your problem. I love it. Tell people I love the way I look. And some of my family members think I'm too small. I do not. And I'll tell you something else. My family members don't invite me anymore to the family get-togethers, because some of them don't want to hear anything about food. But that's okay. but I love the way I look. I love living by myself. I love having the quality of life that I have. I love helping people, and I don't charge anybody anything. And I love helping people. And life is just beautiful. Most
You're a
of the time
walking,
anyway, you
you're,
know.
Vivian, not only are you a walking miracle, you are such a kind and giving person to share your story and help anybody who ask you questions, and to coach people, and to to always be open and learning. I've met you several times in person. We've had lunch, and you've been at our annual picnic several times, and we have to get together. It's our community, right? And
Right.
we live about 20 minutes away. We're not too far from each other. And it's really great to just share that, your tips, and be able to feel. I mean, at the health club, when my mom and I go, we go to the therapy pool because it's warm. And there's people that are saying, oh, I got knee surgery, I got bone on bone, I got the shoulder thing, I got this, I got that. And, we talk to them that we're plant-based, and, we're probably usually we're the thinnest in the pool, and I give them the resources, and they don't believe it. They don't believe if their knees are bone and bone and they need a, knee replacement, that a diet could help. But you're living proof
Right.
that it helped your knees. That's unbelievable.
You
And
know, about
AFib, your AFib is it, back, disappeared, reversed.
Dr. Kim Williams told me that I was probably going to live to be 100 and don't come back unless you have a problem, he said. Dr. McDougall told me that he would bet his mortgage that I wasn't going to die of cancer. And
Wow.
I used to, I had arthritis too. I didn't tell you about that. There was a time I couldn't close my hand further than this. And then
Really?
after I went, right, it would not close further than this.
Wow.
And I am a real estate agent also. And so I had a client who had a mother who was her mother was a few years younger than I am. And we were talking about traveling, and I was getting ready to go on vacation. She said, well, who goes with you? I said, go with me. She said, yes, when my mother travels, one of us have to go with them. I say, depending on how long I'm going to stay, I pack my 50-pound suitcase and I lift it up on the belt and I walk through the airport. I do not get on the tram. I go online and book my own flights. And when I get to where I'm going, if it's not family or someone picking me up, I call an Uber and go about my business.
You're an
And I
independent
don't
woman.
think
Such
anybody,
an inspiration. You're an inspiration.
Yeah,
Yes.
that is impressive.
That's just
I don't
fabulous.
know anyone who wants to do the things that I want to do, any family member or friends. So I do them by myself. And then I meet other friends, and sometimes I meet up with them.
Let's give our
But
we have several people listening in on our Zoom and tonight, and we want to invite anyone at their last stuff. We have about another 15 minutes. If anyone else has any questions for any one of us, specifically Vivian, about her health journey, please put it in the chat. Let's hear your comments, and we'll read them off as they come in. But
Yeah.
I really liked, so would you say your diet is, since you went to McDougall and learned so much about the starch solution and you follow Chef AJ, do you eat a lot of potatoes and starch?
actually, sometimes I eat a lot of sweet potatoes until I get tired of them. Lately, I've been eating a lot of white potatoes. Matter of fact, that my naturopath and oncologist suggested I eat more white potatoes. But I don't eat a lot of them, but I eat enough of them. And white potatoes. But Dr. McDougall's protocol is my protocol. And I remember a lot of plant-based doctors say, if you need to lose weight, don't eat avocados. And avocados are high in fat. that when I went to the Total Health Institute, their protocol was avocados. He wanted us to eat 3 a day. I ate avocado every single day for a whole year, and I still went down 65 pounds. It didn't affect
Wow.
my weight loss. I
Yeah, that
went
is
from
the good omega-3s in avocado, the good fat is, beneficial. And oh, I thought of another question. I know I follow Dr. Goldner, Brooke Goldner. We're talking about Goodbye Autoimmune Disease, Goodbye Lupus, and her new cookbook too. So what is your favorite? I know she has several in her cookbooks and on her website, several green smoothie. Usually it's mostly power greens in the organic power greens in the blender. And then what else do you put in it besides water and power greens?
okay, I fill up my 64-ounce Vitamix container with, and this is what I teach my clients. 2/3, 3/4 of the greens, and you press them down to make sure there's no air pockets. Then I put my flaxseed and or chia seed on top. I use about 1/4 to 1/2 a cup. I had to cut mine down to 1/2 a cup because I think I have healed my leaky gut that I started out with way back in 2017. And then I add 32 ounces of water, and then I put banana and berries or whatever on fruit on the top, whatever I have. For a while there, I was using a lot of berries, and I switch out up a lot. And then I blend it for 2 minutes. And that's what I use from Dr. Goldner. Now, from Dr. Montgomery, I learned the importance of eating raw. If you need to heal raw just does healing much faster and much more efficiently than cooked food does. And I have learned that. And so I try and encourage my clients now to have a salad most days and to have that juice and some fruit for the 21 days, because I've learned a lot. So all of these health issues and journeys have helped me help my clients.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
It has been a learning experience.
You've combined and pulled it all together, all the different experts that we follow and heard about. Most people on the call have. If you're new to the plant-based world and you're kind of not familiar of the doctors that we're talking about, feel free to contact. We'll put our contact information in the notes on our YouTube channel because we are recording this. And feel free to reach out to us. Any three of us will be able to email you links and YouTube information, videos that you could watch in addition to what we're talking about here. So
Yeah.
you could take the deep dive that all three of us had dived in our pool of plant-based world. And I'm sure you probably avoid oil because we're all oil free. So do you follow the oil free diet too?
When I eat out, and that's when I'm not 100% plant-based when I eat out, and that's why now I have learned to try and eat. But my protocol has 3 pillars. It's the Dr. Goldner. The food that they eat is Dr. McDougall's. Matter of fact, it's mandatory that they buy AJ's 21-day diet book because it explains the diet, what they can't eat so plainly, and Dr. McDougall's Star Solution book and a Vitamix. That's what I tell them if you want to join my program. One person told me that she wasn't going to spend that much money for Vitamix, and she's too old to read. I said, well, you can't join my program then. She went and got a Vitamix the next day, and she has read the book.
Well, the Vitamix, you could usually find them reconditioned directly from, or sometimes I found one actually at a great price and a second one at Marketplace. So there are ways for people that are, more in a budget and you don't have to spend $400, $500, $700 on the Vitamix. I've gotten one for $150. It was used $150, and I got another one directly from Vitamix for only, it was a few years ago, but I've seen them for about the 300 range two ninety.
$199. My client just
Oh, wow.
purchased the reconditioned one from my last class, or you can go to Costco or used to be Bed Bath and Beyond, or I guess you can go to Sam's Club and get them for less than some of these people are selling them for
Right,
around
yeah.
just over 300.
Right,
Recently,
yeah,
Costco had it for
that's
$329. A
that's
brand new one.
that some people in comparison, I have family members that spend that much, $300, $400, $500 a month on their copays for their medications. So a one-time, and that's every month. So one-time investment of the equipment that we need in our kitchen, and the supply of flaxseed, chia seeds, and spring greens. I like the spring greens or power greens at Aldi for about $5 in the big container. And they're usually, they're fresh, and I like them because they have organic, and Aldi is pretty much everywhere you go. So it's, you really have to, kind of make some common sense out of it, right? Our lives are more important, and we need to make an investment in that. And you've shared a wealth of information with us, Vivian. I
Thank
feel
you.
we can talk for hours. We'll have to do this again sometime.
This time of year comes from the farmer's market. Those greens are delicious that I purchase at the farmer's market. So most of my produce, if it doesn't come out a friend's backyard and very little come to me that way, it comes from the farmer's market.
Mm.
Because you're eating local, it's just better.
Yeah, that is a really good tip. I've read more about eating local, and the even the microbiome is different with with the produce that you get locally, and it's so much more cost effective to eat local.
Right.
So,
Well, it's not so cost effective at most farmers markets, but I found one that's I can't believe that they're low prices.
yeah.
And right.
So I have one more question. You mentioned you coach people. Can you explain a little bit more about who you work with, and do you tend to work with more people who are just starting out or working with specific issues, and what do you help them with?
Most of them say they want to get off of some of their medication. They
Okay.
want to lose weight. One of my clients had very bad psoriasis, and she was very light skinned, and her skin was messed up. Her skin is so smooth and pretty today. So most of them are on blood pressure. One of them had sleep apnea, after a week. That's been gone ever since. And like I say, the liver disease, and they're mostly they're older people. Every now and then I might have a younger person there who just interested in nutrition. Matter of fact, I think I only had one couple, and they were in their early 20s. But most of them are earlier, and and they have a lot of health issues.
Mm-hmm.
Even
So are you usually working with people individually or as like a whole group?
I work with a group. Matter of
Okay.
fact, I coaching at home. My dining room table seats 6 people. So I have 6 people, and I put a lot into this, and I buy a lot of material from PCRM and other places. And I always have at least 2 people here who have gone through the program to give a testimony. And people love that,
Yeah, that testimonials are pretty powerful.
Right. Those testimonies are pretty powerful. So I always have that. And that helps motivate people to want to jump in, because it's not easy, because they've all been on the standard American diet all their lives, and all of a sudden, and that's why I do 21 days, not that slow way, because if you do the slow way, like my son who lives in California, when I went to Dr. McDougall's, he told me, asked me why I was going there. He's told me, don't mention it when I get around his in-laws, when I'm coming, why I'm there and what I'm doing. Don't mention it. Don't say anything about what you're doing. And so I remember when the Game Changers first came out, I called him and I told him, I call all my kids. I have 3 boys. My children are all senior citizens. This year they will be 67, 65, and 63, my children. And so I called all 3 of them. And so he somehow or another, he found out about the Game Changers from someone else. So he called me and he was all excited. And his wife was kind of excited, and his son was away in Arizona in school. And he said, as soon as he comes home on vacation, I'm gonna sit him down and make him look at this. And so I asked him, what was he doing? He said, slow steps, slow steps. So all 3 of my sons came to see me when I was in Houston. They came to visit me. And I know his slow steps, it seemed like they've been very, very slow from looking at him and the way that he looks and the pot gut and all of that. He needs to lose some weight. But, I can't say, I hope you don't look at this and hear me say this. I hope you come across this. But I do the 21-day jump start because usually in 47 days, after they get started with the help of Dr. Goldner's green juice therapy with those flax and chia seeds, it helps to clean them out quickly in that 47 days. All that old stuff that they have, all of that garbage that they have been eating before they join my program, because it is garbage. And so what happens is their energy levels return and they start to feel better. And so they're inspired to stick with the 21 days. But a lot of times when you go into a hard program like that, after the 21 days is off, you have fantasies, because every time I used to go on a fast, I used to fast a lot years ago. I would always dream about chicken when I get off the fast, or fried chicken. That was my favorite meat. And so you have this fantasy about your favorite garbage food that you liked before. And it's just too soon for them to start that. So what I'm really working on, and I had planned to do last year, was start a support group. I think my clients need that, and I think more of them will hang in there longer if we had a support group.
Yeah, I would agree.
Right.
Well,
So
if you're interested, I could hook you up with the plant-based nutrition support group organization. Right now, they have about 12 to 15 different out of Detroit. Paul Chatlin, he runs that, just like we run PCRM or PBNM, we're plant-based nutrition movement, and he's the plant-based nutrition support group. And his goal is to have one person every day. So every day of the month, you basically, anybody that needs support would be able to key into that talk. And he has different guests. Barb, a few of them. We can go offline. Barb at lunch is one of his support group facilitators. And it's basically volunteering once a month. And once the members join that group, it's a very nominal monthly fee. I think it's $10 or $12, $15, really inexpensive. And
I heard Barb say,
yeah, and so you have access to all of those different groups and experts and people like you, and Food for Life instructors, and basically people that have experienced the miracles of nutrition. And his goal is he's looking for, like I said, about 12 or 15 more volunteers that would be interested in that type of support group monthly. So I'd be happy to introduce you. I'm considering it myself to do something like that, specifically on cooking. So anyway, we are at almost 2 minutes from the end of our session here.
Yes.
And Carrie, I know we want to thank you, Vivian, and Carrie has some closing thoughts and information about our next month, what we have going. So do you want to do our closing thoughts?
Yes, I would. So thank you so much for all of the information that both of you shared, Janet and Vivian. I can't thank you guys enough, and I hope everyone on the meeting and watching the recording will find this helpful and inspirational. I know I did. So thank everyone for being here. And we will be posting this on our YouTube channel as usual. We will be including all of the recipe information and contact information in the show notes. So be sure to check that out if you'd like further information. And so before we say goodbye for the night, I wanted to announce that we won't be having our normal Zoom event next month. We instead will be having our annual picnic. It will be PBNM will have our annual picnic on Sunday, August 4th, and it'll take place at the Wooddale Grove Forest Preserve from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. If you'd like more information, you can head to our website, pbnm.org, and you can find out location of where it is, any of the information on what you can bring, and directions and anything that you need. We will also be putting reminders in our newsletter, which I believe went out already. So if you are looking for any last minute information, you can find it there. And so if you're local, please make sure to mark the event on your calendar and join us. We would love to meet you if we haven't already, and to see all of the familiar faces as well. And then one other thing that I would like to share is there will also be a Veggie Fest that's held in Lisle, Illinois on August 10th and 11th. That is going to be Saturday and a Sunday, 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. both days. And PBNM is going to be having our own table. So if you are local, once again, be sure to check it out. It looks like they are expecting upwards of like 20 plus speakers, over 100 different vendors and different booths. They'll have food demos and live music and speakers, all of the above. And it is free admission and free parking. So if you are local, please check it out.
Right.
And come visit us, come visit our table. I believe all three of us at some point in the weekend will be there.
Right.
So please come find us. We would love to meet
Dr.
you.
Montgomery will be one of the speakers on Saturday, the one who helped me through my cancer experience.
Okay. Nice.
Yes, thanks for sharing. And Dr. Stephen Loam, the founder of PBNM, our organization, will be there. I think he's speaking in the tent B on Sunday afternoon. And if you're looking for our tent, we have a tent, and the label, our signage is going to be More Plants on Plates, Illinois -PBNM, because that is a focus on, it's another organization website about educating parents about getting plant-based meals in schools in Illinois. So that is going to be our heading on our banner on the tent. So we're combined, so it's called More Plants on Plates Illinois.org, correct, Carrie? Is that what it is?
Yes, correct.
And
Can I say one more thing that I meant to say? If you shop at the farmer's market, I only shop at the stands that do not use chemicals in their food. And I ask, and they will be honest with you. So I don't just go there and shop at any stand because they carry produce. If they use any type of chemicals, I will not purchase anything from them.
That is a very good point. Now that you say that, I realize, they don't upfront say that, or they don't have any information that will indicate that, but I'm happy to hear that if you ask them, they're forthcoming. So that is a very good tip.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks for sharing that. So you just ask them, do you use any chemicals on your produce?
And they would generally tell you if they use a little bit or just yes or no. And there's usually at most farmers markets, because I frequent three, one I go there because of the knife sharpener. The knife sharpener man is there. And I keep my knife sharpened during the farmers market season. But you'll get to know the ones who do not. And most of them will have at least one, if not two, stands that don't use chemicals.
Good to know.
Nice. Yeah, good to know.
You only buy from not the ones that have just a little, because I've asked that and they say a little. So you look for people that say no, I don't.
They know, and there is someone most of them, maybe not all of them, that because the one, yes, that do not use chemicals, at least one stand.
Great, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, yeah.
Did we forget anything, Carrie, about our announcements?
I think that wraps everything up. So yeah, just a reminder, we'll have the two events, the in-person events in August, and then we will be back here on Zoom in September. So,
And
and that will be the third Tuesday as well. So look for information. We haven't posted all of that information yet, but we will be doing that shortly.
And if we have guests here that aren't current members to our plant-based nutrition movement, pbnm.org, when you go to the main page, it'll say become a member. It's free to become a member. It's basically signing up for our newsletter that you'll get monthly announcements. And the August newsletter will tell you about our September guests. So I'll give you a sneak hint. It's going to be a gentleman that I met at our farmers market, local farmers market, and he is a microgreen grower. So he's going to educate us all about microgreens. And I'm going to talk a little bit about sprouts, growing sprouts through, in your home on your kitchen counter. So those are our September, topics.
Perfect.
I'll be sure to be here.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we hope you are. We hope to see everyone else too next time. And if you're local, come to the picnic and have a good night.
Yes. Thank you,
Night.
everybody.